Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 39 of the GGBO 2022 build, and in this episode we're going to be doing the last few jobs before we can start finishing by gluing in the neck and getting the bridge and the tailpiece fitted. I've done a little work off camera since last time just to get things moving along a little bit quicker. Mainly that's working on the neck. I've tidied up this area around the heel. I've kind of smoothed the rest of the neck into its profile. And I've also trimmed the tenon down just to make it fit properly. And I've also done quite a lot of work around alignment. And I've double checked it, I've triple checked it. And the neck only really goes in one way. And when it's in, everything aligns absolutely perfectly. So realistically, all there is to do at the moment is to get some glue into this neck joint and get it clamped together. Once I've done that and I've left it to dry for a few hours, we can then start to mock this up, get the tailpiece and the bridge installed. And realistically, those are the last two major steps that we need to take before we can start to get the finishing process started on that. So this episode is going to be some kind of major step forwards and get us a lot closer to actually getting this guitar into the spray booth. It's starting to get exciting now. Okay, that's all glued in now. Everything seems to be in the right position. So I'm going to leave this overnight now to allow that glue to dry out properly, and we'll get back to it in the morning and see how we've done. It's the next morning. The glue is all good and dry, so we'll just get this clamp off. Get that out of the way. And we can have a look and see how we've done. And all in all, I don't think that's too bad. There's a tiny little bit of a gap around the heel, but it's nothing major, nothing I'm concerned about. The line of the veneer matches up quite nicely. And if I put a rule on that, it is absolutely spot on, running right the way through the length of the neck. So that's absolutely fantastic. Really, really pleased about that. So with that done, it only leaves one major job before we can get on with the finishing, and that's to get the bridge and the tailpiece properly installed. So we will crack on with that next. And now that that all appears to be on in exactly the right position, we can think about getting the tailpiece and the bridge installed. And this is a process that does freak a lot of people out. Really, really worried that if they get this in the wrong position, they will ruin the guitar. And they're partially right, but it is also worth bearing in mind that there is quite a lot of adjustment on these saddles. So as long as you're actually within a few millimeters, you should be able to iron things out. And if you think about it, a few millimeters is a very large margin of error, so there's no reason at all that anyone with any competence with measuring equipment should get this wrong. Okay, so I've done a bunch of marking out off camera. If you desperately need to know how to do this, there's a few other videos I've done that cover it in more detail. I think in particular on the 335 build goes into a great deal of detail into how I've done this. But basically I've calculated the distance between the two pins in the bridge and the tailpiece and kind of marked those out off the center line. The bridge I've actually stepped back 3 degrees just to put a little bit of offset onto the bridge, and the tailpiece will be mounted square. So what I need to do now is get these to the drill press. I'm going to start off on the bridge. I will drill for one of the pins. I'll install the bush, and then I will actually fix the bridge to that post, swivel it the 3 degrees, and then I'll mark it with a transfer punch through that hole, so I'm getting a really accurate measurement for that hole, and then drill and install the other bush, and then I'll just repeat that process for the tailpiece. And there we have the bridge and the tailpiece fitted. It actually went quite smoothly, really happy with the way they've gone in. I do need to do a little bit of fettling up. I want to sink the bushes on the bridge in just a tiny little bit more so that we can get as much up and down movement as possible out of that bridge without having to modify it. Can't see it being a problem if I put a straight edge on across the frets. It clears the bridge at its lowest setting easily, which is great because that really is the biggest pitfall on this style of guitar. I've also got to take out one of these tailpiece studs and drill a hole through for the ground wire into the control cavity. But that really is now all of the major structural work finished on this guitar. Actually looks like an instrument now, which is amazing. So I'm going to continue off camera and do those few little jobs. I'll properly install the pickups as well because we need to fit the screws for those. And I'll just do any other little odd jobs that are necessary before we can start to think about the finishing, which is what we will be starting in the next episode. So before then, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this, subscribe if you haven't already done so, drop me a comment and tell me what you think you would like to see in terms of finish, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.